Hello, today is Monday, November 27th, 2023. Basically, we have 4 more days to go. Yesterday, I thought about bullshit stories in the Bible or fallacies in the Bible. I'm not sure if they are true or not, but my hunch is that many phrases are fallacies. They were inserted by humans or scribes. So let's find out what kind of fallacies are there as we are taught by other YouTube influencers. And the reason I'm trying to read this article is to practice English each day. The length of the material for my reading is somewhere between 20 minutes to 30 minutes. But today, since it's a bit late for my walk towards my office, which is 4 kilometers away or 50 minutes away, I will just cut short in the middle. Let's find out what time is. So basically, I have like 10 minutes to go. So stay tuned and follow along as I read. So it's a dual purpose. One is for academic approach to learn English, or the other one is to pick up knowledge about the subject matter. Today's subject matter is the God, especially the Bible. Why do you believe in God? Don't be afraid to question. The truth is never embarrassed by honest inquiry. Don't take your minister's word for it. And don't even take my word for it. Take my word. That's good expression. Take someone's word, right? Eat my word. Put my food in my mouth. Don't take your minister's word for it. Or don't even take my word for it. You have my word. Look it up for yourself. Take Matthew, okay? Take Matthew chapter 1, verses 22 through 3. Ask yourself, was he telling the truth when he said that Christ's virgin birth had fulfilled a prophecy? Isaiah 7:14. Look it up. Read the context around it. Judge for yourself. Wasn't Isaiah actually claiming that the baby would be a sign that a planned siege on Jerusalem during a civil war would fail? In fact, doesn't the prophet then go on and try to fulfill his own prophecy at Isaiah 8:1? Let me tell you about Mithra. Mithra was a Persian Indian god of the 6th century BC. Okay, Persian and India, Mithra. Apparently, he was born of a virgin on December 25th, as were the gods Osiris, Horus, Marduk, Sol, Saturn, and Apollo. A birth witnessed by shepherds and by gift-bearing Magi, who had followed a falling star. He became known as the light good shepherd, the Son of God, and was said to be able to raise the dead, devils, devils. What is it? Casualed? No. Casualed, canceled. Devils and cure the blind, lame, and sick. Let the god Attis, Mithra, was sacrificed at the spring equinox, Easter, or Astor. Begin the accent goddess of spring, rose up after 3 days and ascended to paradise, a Persian word. Prior to this, Mithra celebrated a Last Supper with his 12 disciples, representing the 12 signs of the zodiac. In memory of this, his followers would eat their god in the form of wafers and bread, like the followers of Osiris, Adonis, and Dionysus. Bread marked with a cross as a symbol borrowed from another god, Tammuz. Mithra worshippers also believed there would be a day of judgment when sinners and the unbaptized would be dragged down to darkness. Sound familiar? Christians dismiss 9,999 religions as false. Atheists dismiss just one more than that. Still familiar? Christianity is simply one more than that. Sound familiar? Christianity is simply a mix of hopri-popri, right? Mishmashing of some stuff. Mishmash, hand-me-down, patchwork, quilt of all the most memorable elements of thousands of different pagan religions then came before it. Mishmash, hand-me-down, patchwork quilt of all the most memorable elements of thousands different pagan religions that came before it. Born of a virgin, as we have seen, the virgin birth story is rather unique nor original to Christianity. Traditionally, a claim of virgin birth was a way of conveying the authenticity and importance of God and sometimes even morals, such as Julius Caesar, to a largely uneducated audience. To assert that the earth revolves around the sun is as erroneous as the claim that Jesus was not born of a virgin. Cardinal Bellarmine at Galileo's trial, 1615. Fuck that. December 25th. This date marks the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, the turning point of winter as the days start to get longer every day. Long before Christianity, sun god worshippers set aside this day to celebrate the beauty of nature with the return or birth of the sun. With an obvious symbolism for the pagans, it is easy to see why many virgin-born savior gods were said to have been born on December 25th in the hope of winning credulous and superstitious converts. It was in 350 AD that Pope Julius first set Christ's birthday to keep up this long tradition. So it was set Christ's birthday on December 25th because it was traditionally a solstice. Sounds like a hanky-panky, I don't know. Morality. Contrary, it's time for me to walk towards my office, commute by foot. Contrary to what your church may have told you, atheists do not automatically turn to hedonism and anarchy. In fact, those who suggest that a man must be ethically restrained by religion reveal, quite frankly, just how deep-seated their own morals are. Restrained by religion reveal. It is an easy target for the church to blame society's ills on man's inevitable shelving of the God myth. But the fact remains that there is a fraction of the immorality now than there was when the church had complete, unchallenged influence over every aspect of society. This was a time of crusades, inquisitions, and witch and heretic burnings, hedonism. Witch and heretic burnings. It was a period known as the Dark Ages, and that they truly were, both morally and intellectually. The Ten Commandments are woefully inadequate as a moral guide. The first four are blatant religious propaganda, basically a plug for the Hebrew God. The remaining six are dangerously held up as exhaustive and inspired by those who apparently haven't read them. For example, one wonders how lying and envy make the big list of don'ts, but not rape, torture, child abuse, racism, slavery. And surely nobody still seriously believes that black and white moral guidelines are of much use in a grayscale world. Yeah, black and white. Yeah, there was a day and light, but actually there's no day and light completely. There's a grayscale. Some area is almost like a 90% black. Some other areas almost 0% white. There's no clear-cut day and light boundary. For example, right? Thou shalt not kill, but what about in genuine self-defense? Thou shalt not bear false witness. But what about lying to the Nazi officer who asks if you are hiding Jews? True morality requires judging each case on its own merits, not just overlaying the same clumsy morality stencil on everything. Prayer. To the critical mind, it seems that the proportion of prayers that are specifically answered do not deviate too far from what the simple law of averages would suggest. Having never prayed in my life, I can certainly attest to having a better than fair share of good fortune. Regardless, what never fails to surprise me is the egotism and arrogance of the atheist who, by praying for divine favor or intervention, actually calls into doubt the very wisdom of their God. To the critical mind, it seems that the proportion of prayers that are specifically answered do not deviate too far from what the simple law of averages would suggest. The simple law of averages. Having never prayed in my life, I can certainly attest to having a better than fair share of good fortune. Interesting. I will stop here and come back and I'll read this. This life is not a vale of tears. It makes me nauseous, vomit, to think that children are being taught that the most important part of their life is auditioning for the next one. This is a truly poisonous concept that inevitably leads to the degradation of our current world as a transit life, a veil of tears that we must put up with momentarily until our ticket is clipped and we are rescued from this miserable existence of trial and temptation. In stark contrast, atheists in general believe this to be our one and only life, a view which I can assure you makes life precious beyond all virtues. What if the greatest deception the devil ever played on man was to convince him to devote his time to mindless ritual, self-depreciation, and violent prejudices? Of course, I realize this is a ridiculous premise. The devil is a construct of religion, not vice versa. Interesting. I will come back later tonight and finish the rest of the article from here. So I parked my car and it's only 8 o'clock. I have to be at my office by 8:30. So basically it takes, I have 20 minutes because it takes about 10 minutes by walking to my office. So I will just try to read as much of this article for you. So here we go. This is where I left off at my home. Now I am sitting on my car. So what does the Bible tell us? Who should we kill? What? Homosexuals? Levitan was something. 2013. Roman 1:26-32. Homosexuals. Okay. Adulterers. Lev 2010 and Deuteronomy 22:22. Disobedient children, Deuteronomy 21:20-21, Lev 20:9, Exodus 21:15. Women who are not virgins on their wedding night, Deuteronomy 22:13-21. All non-Christians, parable told by Christ, Luke 19:27. Those accused of wickedness by at least two people, Deuteronomy 17:2-7. Anyone who works on the Sabbath, Exodus 35:2-3. Numerals 15:32-6. Not even to kindle a fire, and no exclusion for ambulance drivers. Not even to kindle a fire. That means you do nothing, right? Go fasting, maybe. Women. It is shameful for women to speak in church. 1 Corinthians 14:34-35. A man must obey his wife's words if they are to have force. Numerical Num 38. A woman must not teach or hold authority over a man. 1 Timothy 2:12. Lot saves the messengers from the man of Sodom by offering up his virgin daughters to do them as you please. Genesis 19:8. Kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourself every girl who has never slept with a man. Moses, Num 31:17-8. 17-18. Slavery. God supports slavery. Lev 25:44-46. Exodus 21:2-8. Ephemus, right? Ephemus 6:5. Carl Collium 3:22. Instructions on how to sell your daughter as a slave. Fuck that. Exodus 21:7-8. When to give your slaves severe or tight beatings. That's bad. Luke 12:42-48. Okay to beat slaves only if they don't die within 2 days. Exodus 21:20-21. How to mark your slave. Drive an awl through its ears. Deuteronomy 15-17. I think this is a mistaken translation by scribes, right? When they copied the Aramaic scriptures into Greek scriptures. The scribes were employed and they had many disputes with each other as to a correct translation. So obviously there were some mistranslation among them. How to mark your slave, drive an owl through its ear. I think there must have been an immense mistake on translation. Marriage, and it is included in the Bible, so that's the problem. Marriage, it's best if all people remain unmarried. Marriage, yeah, I agree. I kind of agree that we need to cut suffering. Marriage is a lesser of two evils, a compromise for Christians too weak to resist their sexual urges. For it is better to marry than to burn. Paul, 1 Corinthians 7, 1 to 2, 8 to 9, 25 to 26, 38. Let me read this sentence one more time. It's best if all people remain unmarried. Marriage is a lesser of two evils, compromise for Christians too weak to resist their sexual urges. For it is better to marry than to burn. The rapist of an unwed woman must buy her and make her his wife, apparently a far more holy union than a genuine, loving same-sex relationship. Deuteronomy 22, 28 to 29. Justice. If a man suspects his wife of cheating, he can serve her a cursed drink. If she becomes deformed, then that proves her guilt. Num 5, 12 to 31st. 42 children killed by bears for calling a prophet baldy. This is farcical. 2 King 2:23 to 24. Okay, to beat your children with a rod, it won't kill them. Proverbs 23:13 to 14. God commits, orders, and endorses every form of atrocity known to man. Pretty much pick a page of the Old Testament at random. So God advocates violence if necessary. Do the Old Testament laws still apply? Every jot and title. Christ, Matthew 5:17-9. Every jot and title. So Old Testament still applies, right? Which is funny, because Old Testaments, but at the same time, why divide Old Testament and New Testament? Why? It's the same book, but they put a division between them, and we still need to respect the Old Testament. Christ, what a role model. Christ tells us we must hate our entire family and even our own life if we want to be one of his disciples. Luke 14 to 26. Those who abandon their families will be rewarded. Matthew 19:29. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the man's foes shall be they of his own household. Christ, Matthew 10:35 to 36. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother. A man's foes shall be they of his own household. So obviously a strange English grammar in the Bible. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Christ, Matthew 10:34. A sword. If you don't, I have a sword. Sell your clothes to buy one. Luke 22:36. I came not to send peace, but a sword. If you don't have a sword, sell your clothes to buy one. Well, so you go bare to buy a sword. curses fig trees for not bearing fruit in off season. So obviously Christ was pissed off because he wanted to eat figs. I like figs, very delicious, sweet, but Christ was pissed off probably and curses fig tree for not bearing fruit in off season. Not on season, but off season. Mark 11th, 12 to 4, and 20 to 21. Didn't want to help girl because she was a dog Gentile. So if you are a very bad girl or a girl with deformations or disability, you are not going to get help from Christ. Matthew 14, 15, 22 to 28. Of course, there are several good passages in the Bible, the ones that are carefully selected by your minister for Sunday readings. And pardon the analogy, if you find some chocolate in pile of dung, you don't eat it, right? No, the good is tainted by the bad that surrounds it. Of course, there are several good passages in the Bible, the ones that are carefully selected by your minister for Sunday readings. And pardon the analogy, if you find some chocolate in a pile of dung, you don't eat it, right? No, the good is tainted by the bad that surrounds it. Yep, I'll stop here and start to read from here. Who told you that you are a sinner? And finish this article up. Thanks for listening. I have to go to work now. Bye-bye. So I'm sitting in my car trying to go back home soon. So I left at the third column of this long material to read about the biblical fallacies. So let's finish that up, and I will combine 3 videos together into one and upload it onto YouTube. As I explained, the reason I'm trying to read this article is to pick up or understand what the article is trying to say. So it's knowledge-based. And also I'm trying to practice English by reading an English material aloud for 20 to 30 minutes in general. So here I am. So it's a dual-pronged approach, dual-edged bevel, right? It's a two-beveled knife, two-edged knife. Who told you that you are a sinner? Your church? But wait. Don't fret. There's a magic cure, and your church just happens to have it. Of course, some might suggest that your church has merely cut you in order to sell you a Band-Aid. Did Adam and Eve sin? They disobeyed God by eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right and wrong. So yes, right? Just one problem. How could Adam and Eve have been expected to comprehend the implications of their actions if prior to their indiscretion they had no concept of wrong, evil, punishment, suffering, pain, and death? Even if God had been successful in adequately explaining all of these concepts and the distinction between right and wrong to them beforehand, this means that he would have had to have given them knowledge of good and evil anyway, which turns this entire story into one big ridiculous farce. Just a just, loving, and secure God would realize that simply not believing in him is not a crime worthy of hellfire. Right? Yeah. So if we don't believe in God, we go to hellfire. So the Adam and Eve apple bullshit story is quite ridiculous, right? That's wrong. A sin cannot be inherited. I find it abhorrent that a newborn baby is considered to be dirty with sin. This makes a complete mockery of true morality, which requires both an understanding of right and wrong and that individual's willful intention to do wrong in order to determine immorality. Even our modest human justice system has the basic common sense not to prosecute minors for their immoral actions, let alone for those of their ancestors. A blood sacrifice cannot pay for a person's sin. It is an archaic, deeply flawed view of morality that says that as long as there is blood spilled to appease God, and innocent blood at that, then the crime is forgiven. How can someone else pay for your sins? In what sense is morality and justice served if someone, say, offers to take the place of condemned criminal in the electric chair? Does this change the fact that the criminal has not been held responsible for his actions? And how is the innocent death anything more than a sad, pointless waste that doesn't add a grain to the overall moral equation? Doesn't add a grain to the overall moral equation. This is corrupt morality, removing responsibility from the sinner and causing a dangerous, volatile mindset where anything goes as long as you repeat before the buzzer, also known as the miraculous death row convention. By labeling virtually every natural urge and function as a sin, from sexuality to having negative feelings towards our enemies, the church ensures the lifelong dependency and complement of its guilt-ridden, emotionally crippled followers. That's good expression. Emotionally crippled followers. Guilt-ridden, emotionally crippled followers, right? Dependency and commitment, lifelong dependency and commitment of its full guilt-ridden, emotionally crippled followers. Blinded by the numbing repetition and familiarity of this salvation plan, Christians fail to see the stark depravity and poison that drips from it. Indeed, if this is not superstitious witchcraft, then I don't know what is. That's good cliche, right? Yeah. If this is not superstitious witchcraft, then I don't know what is. That's kind of cliche. I don't know what it is. What is? If this is not superstitious witchcraft, superstitious witchcraft, then I don't know what is. Well, that's not entirely true. These definitely are Christian spells cast through a persuasive prayer, the macabre cannibalistic ritual of communion, and the truly frightening possession that causes a person to speak in tongues. Speak in tongues. What is it? Speak in tongues. Macabre, right? Macabre. Very gruesome, very irksome scenery where you behead people, you spill the guts of your enemies. That's gruesome, macabre, right? But let's find out the exact pronunciation right here. Macabre. Terrifying, dark, gruesome, grim, horrible.
Macabre.
Macabre. What?
Macabre.
Macabre. Macabre.
Macabre.
What?
Macabre.
Macabre.
Macabre. Macabre. Macabre.
Damn, macabre. Right?
Macabre.
I don't trust you, man. I don't trust your pronunciation. Macabre, that's strange. Well, sometimes my phone goes dead. It's stored. I don't know what happened. If this is not a virus, I don't know what it is. What is? Right? Damn. Macabre. Macabre. See? What's wrong? Damn, I don't know what happened. Maybe my Chrome is terrible. I should maybe open in another page and I type in macabre to find the see pronunciation, right? I like a pronunciation. Cambridge Merriam-Webster. Yeah, I like a Merriam-Webster.
Macabre.
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 Macabre. Macabre. Macabre. Macabre.
Macabre.
Macabre. That's strange. I prefer macabre. Let's go to Collins.
Macabre.
Yeah, I like you. See? But Longman Dictionary? Okay, I'll go to Longman Dictionary. Yeah, I don't like you. I'll go to American Heritage Dictionary. Yeah, freedictionary.com.
Macabre.
Macabre. Macabre. Okay, macabre. So there are multiple pronunciations. Speak in tongues, like a chicken, tongue in cheek, speaking in tongues. Speaking in tongues, also known as glossolalia, is an activity or practice in which people utter words or speech-like sounds often thought by believers to be languages unknown to the speaker. One definition used by linguists is the fluid vocalization of speech-like syllables that lack any readily comprehended meaning. Speak in tongues. Speaking tongues, as described in the Bible, involves the ability to speak in different languages to communicate the gospel across language barriers. The gift of tongues and interpretations can manifest in different ways, including missionaries preaching in foreign languages. To say strange words that no one can understand, especially as part of a religious experience. Speak in tongues definition. To speak in tongues is to talk using sounds that can't be identified as real words, especially to speak in an unknown language thought to be divinely inspired. For some Pentecostal Christians, speaking in tongues is an important and accepted part of worship. Okay, I got it. So here, these definitely are Christian spells cast through persuasive prayer, the macabre, cannibalistic ritual of communion, the truly frightening possession that causes a person to speak in tongue. So when you are possessed, you speak gibberish. You speak unknown language to people around you. So it is called speak in tongues, not speak from your heart or real yourself. Have you ever asked yourself this question? I mean, seriously asked yourself. Pierre Charon once noted that we are baptized or circumcised, a Christian or Jew, long before we are even aware we are a human. Is that any wonder then that through early indoctrination, while the original mind, critical mind is still developing, we almost without exception go on to inherit the precise religion of our parents or surrounding culture? No, of course not. It's not natural. But that doesn't say much for the actual truth of that particular religion, does it? A casual stroll through the fanatic asylum shows that faith does not prove anything. Nietzsche. Yeah, lunatic asylum. Yeah, lunatic asylum. Creation. Most people think that you need a God to explain the existence of the world. They point to the complexity and order of the universe as sure proof that it was designed by a conscious entity, but stop one step short of reaching the glaring conclusion to their logic. Stop one step short of reaching the glaring conclusion to their logic. Such an intelligent designer, one might well presume, would have to be fairly complex and ordered itself, wouldn't it? Perhaps even more so than the universe. So then, what created God? It is a giant leap from we can't yet explain every aspect of the natural world to God did it. To rid us of natural difficulty, the theist has to invent a supernatural one. To rid us of a natural difficulty, the theist has inherited a supernatural one. There is no such thing as a second-hand revelation. The Bible is simply hearsay, right? The Bible is simply hearsay. Hearsay, 소문, right? 소문. God of the gaps. We once believed that thunder and lightning was God getting angry. Of course, now we have a scientific explanation for this phenomenon. It would be hard to find anyone who still believes this. Religion is a crutch left over from man's pre-scientific youth, and like a child with a security blanket, our continued reliance on it for emotional support is unhealthy and detrimental to our growth. As the ground illuminated by science advances, this God of the gaps of human knowledge will continue to repeat with the shadows. You only have to look to the mistaken assumptions of your religious ancestors for a glimpse of the future of your God. What? You only have to look to the mistaken assumptions of your religious ancestors for a glimpse of the future of your God. Is God willing to prevent evil but not able? Then he is not omnipotent. Is he able but not willing? Then he is malevolent. Is he both able and willing? Then hence comes evil. Is he neither able nor willing? Then why call him God? Epicurus, 341 to 71 BC. In the meantime, the atheist is not so intellectually promiscuous as to jump at a supernatural explanation just so that we can have an answer any answer. Well, this was a long article, but from this article we'll learn many bullshits or many fallacies about the Bible. I like the Bible, but I find the Bible is riddled with many fallacies, many errors, many interpretation errors especially, and many things have been inserted like a tithe or killing your children if they don't listen to you. But we have to continue to stay awake and watch out for any misinterpretations, mistakes, or rather benefits of the Bible. But before I go, from this article, we learned many expressions such as speak in tongues. When you are possessed, you speak in tongues in many languages. And also tongue-in-cheek, macabre or macabre. So we have two pronunciations, macabre or macabre, gruesome, alienated, and so on. What else? What else I was there? Creation, proof, something lunatic, asylum. I just go by the pink boxes. Guilty-ridden, emotionally crippled followers. It's guilt-ridden, emotionally crippled followers. A just loving and secure God would realize that simply not believing in Him is not a crime worthy of hellfire. 10 Commandments are woefully inadequate as a moral guide. So this article was good. I enjoyed it. It shed some light on the different fallacies of the Bible. Most of the fallacies or bullshit stories of the Bible I watched the videos of which and it was fun, but different aspects, right? Different from the videos. So we always have to read a lot of written materials. Thanks for listening. I have to go to my office now, and also I have to go back home now. Today I drove my car because it was a little bit drizzling when I started out from my home, but actually it was just scare. Not much rain. You could have just endured small drizzles, very small, light scattered drizzles. So it was like 10 minutes or 5 minutes at most. So I was gullied and I just drove my car. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.